Welcome to Mashed In. I am your host, Sean Ryan, my co-host, Matty Lick.
Hello.
And in the studio today, we've got some guests from Ale of a Time. We have Luke and Dave.
Howdy. Howdy. How's it going?
If Matt switches to them there.
Yep.
Hey. So, we've thanks for tuning in. Anyone that's jumping on live, you can ask us questions. You can ask Matty questions about being a Casanova and Canada. We're going to talk about Canada later. I've got some Canada news.
Oh, do you? Okay, yeah.
Kind of Canada and music news, which is fun.
Where's the Casanova come from? I'm married.
Married, yeah.
I'm a married Casanova to one woman.
You were a Casanova.
Oh,
and, you know.
Was I?
I think so. Matt stole my girlfriend in high school, but we won't go into that.
Really? No, let's go into that. That's great.
No,
God.
it's fine. It's fine.
That's news to me.
People want.
Yeah, whatever.
You're obviously not harbouring anything.
Well, no, I didn't tell him that she didn't know she was my girlfriend. Like we were in year 7. I decided.
What's year 7? Like 12?
12, 13,
Yeah, 12.
I think.
Yeah, for me. 12. Matt was what, 36? Because you got help. He didn't really. He was 15.
Yeah.
But she didn't know she was my girlfriend.
Okay.
But I stole her anyway.
Yeah.
I don't even know who you're talking about though. So
it's all right. She was more interested in you, clearly. But you should have helped out a mate. And
bro code. Yeah,
exactly. She just asked. You know what I mean? I actually asked someone once. Are you? Do you like this girl? And he said, no. We're just friends. So I'm like, all right, sweet. So I started dating her. Turned out he really did, and he just freaking hated me for it. Would just try to, I'm like,
what's to be gained by denying?
By lying it, I know.
Yeah.
It's like that whole.
Just tell me.
I don't like girls.
I guess so. I don't know. Anyway,
we've got the relationship content.
Yeah, we've done. So Luke and Dave from Ale of a Time, and Luke is also Hypothetical Institute.
Yeah, have you listened to that?
I have.
Good.
I have. And
thanks for listening.
Dave is a co-host and puppy owner.
Puppy owner.
Yes, that's. I remember. I think last time I saw you, you just
you're
gotten
right.
the puppy,
Yeah, it was that day,
and you were just trying to get out of that
podcast.
podcast.
I was trying to get
back
out
to your
immediately.
puppy
Yeah.
What is the puppy of?
Is it like a dog?
What breed is it?
Oh, sorry.
It's a it's a bull
It's a dog
Arab
puppy.
staghound cross. And I didn't really know what either of those breeds were beforehand.
Okay.
But it's more staghound than anything. He's going to be a big, tall, lanky boy. He's already 17 kilos and he's 5 months old. So
Wow.
he's a big pup. Yeah.
I thought a staghound is somebody that's just about to get married. The night before.
Hence Casanova Matty. So I really could have said more, but I'm not going to. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Oh God.
So we'll get to local news of things that have happened recently. I bought a new chair,
Oh yeah.
your office chair, because
This is hyper local news.
yeah, no, this is local news. Yeah, exactly.
Like locals. Yeah.
Everything's got a slight twist
Okay.
of all my segments. It's pretty good. Wait till you get to buying beer. It's a good one.
Tell us about the goddamn chair.
Yeah, so I bought a chair at Officeworks, and well, it's fucked. Like this chair's terrible. It was like the second cheapest one at Officeworks, which probably doesn't bode well. It's one of the Bathurst chairs.
Okay.
Oh,
I don't know what that-
the racing seat
Oh,
chairs.
I
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But it's still like an office chair.
it's an office chair, but it's one of them Bathurst ones, and it's the most obnoxious looking chair. So I thought it'd be really funny to bring it home.
With a 6-point harness and that, or what is it, 6.5 point harness, or something like that.
It doesn't
You
have
know,
the harness in
yeah,
it.
it doesn't have all the clips and
It could though.
you don't like ratchet it in together.
to get because my NBN's so fast, I can like strap in. Almost as bad as dial up. But anyway, so I got this chair and I put it together, and then sat in it and realised I'd put it together backwards.
How do you?
Well,
I guess we're going to get
The
to
long
it,
way
yeah.
is at the bottom.
Okay, so there's an arrow that points to front.
Yep.
And I thought that I was attaching things to the back, but
Right.
it must have spun or something. I'll blame my son. He was helping me do it, and so I put it back to front.
Yeah, yeah.
Literally backwards to the front, right? And I said it, and I'm like, this is not good.
I don't feel like I'm in Bathurst at all.
I don't, exactly. Maybe that's why they're going so fast. They just want to get out of the car.
Those drivers are incredible.
Yeah. So then I realized, okay, I've obviously put this on back to front. So then I've pulled it apart and then put it back together, and then like the screw wouldn't go in properly. Also, it comes with an Allen key, but I did use a power drill with the screwdriver attachment because it was taking like forever with that Allen key. So
and it's a Bathurst chair.
Like, and it's a Bathurst chair. It's supposed to go fast.
Yeah.
So I did the Allen key, but then once I put it on backwards, I had to undo everything and put it back together.
Yeah.
I was like, no,
Power drill time. Yeah.
So I finally put it all back together, put the screw in, and the last screw would not fit in.
Oh, yep.
Like it just was spinning. I probably stripped the screw. I hear hardware people talking about
sounds
stripping
like
the screw.
it. Yep.
Is that a thing?
Normally, you don't use a drill to put in Allen key nuts, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, I do.
Did you have an Allen key attachment on the drill?
Yes.
Okay. That
that
doesn't
is
sound like
okay.
you
All right. Yeah.
That is why
I was a bit
I
worried
think-
at first.
Yeah.
But that's why I
A
think
Phillips
you
head.
can do it. Yeah.
That's
I
why they
wouldn't
give
put it-
you a little
I
air
wouldn't-
gun to
yeah, I wouldn't
change the
put that-
tires on it.
Exactly. I wouldn't put that past me though. Is trying to do that. But this actually had an Allen key attachment, so I'm like, clearly they intend for me to use a power drill to put this chair together.
Mm-hmm.
Allen keys are for suckers. So so I'm putting it together,
Look out,
And-
IKEA. Jeez.
I know, eh?
and I put that. Get some IKEA furniture. I'm gonna put that
What, and ruin all of that too?
destroy that. So yeah. This screw thing didn't work in. So I like I can screw it in, but then it just will come straight out. Like it doesn't actually grab on anything. So I was sitting on it today, and then like as I'm sitting there, because it's got armrests that are this high, which are weird because it's a Bathurst chair, I guess. So your armrests are quite high.
You sure you put it together correctly?
I might not have. I don't think I wouldn't trust me. I'm not the best handyman on things.
Wouldn't have thought, based on the story.
No, yeah, exactly. Well, you can see I've half finished this room.
That's the important half, though.
It is the important half. So anyway, so this thing doesn't work. So as I'm sitting down, I'm like sitting in the chair, and then like I kind of lean because the thing's not screwed in properly. So my chair kind of leans this way. Can I return that to Officeworks?
Yes.
What do you reckon?
I think the person at Officeworks who's going to be accepting the return does not give a shit.
Yep.
Yeah,
And they're not going to check for stripped screws as an ineligibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Return it. I
But
think
take
I
it
can just
apart
return-
first.
Yeah.
take
yeah.
it apart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
take it
what's your
apart.
excuse, though?
Oh yeah.
Just
not only what's your excuse, but what's the likelihood of doing further damage if you take it apart?
Oh, that's
Before
true,
you
yeah.
Depends if I use the Allen key or the
Yeah,
power
true.
drill, I guess.
Use a hammer.
Because if you take it there half assembled and go, this doesn't work, they're going to go, yeah, it doesn't. Look,
Yeah.
you fucked it.
So if I put it all together and be like, this screw just keeps falling out, then I'll look at it and go, you've stripped the screw.
Yeah, how bad does the screw look?
Oh, it's smooth.
Okay.
It's a nail.
Yeah, right. so
Here's
so
an
the actual screw part is smooth.
Or the
Not-
head.
not
The
the
head or
head.
the...
The top bit
Okay,
of it, the blue
okay.
bit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Here's what you do. You take
Different
it back.
colours.
What time does Officeworks close?
It's like 9 o'clock at night.
Friday, 9 o'clock.
Absolutely.
You go to take it in. They do not
Ah.
want to check everything. They
Yep.
want to go home.
Absolutely.
Do not care.
Yeah. I
That
reckon
means
that's
though
your
he
play.
has to take Friday night off.
Or
and go to
do I
Officeworks
go
at 9 o'clock.
or do I go like on a Sunday when they're just like, it's a Sunday, I just want to go home, or a Saturday night because they just want to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
get,
that's the
you
fair
know,
point.
First thing Sunday could also work.
I like
First thing
Friday.
Sunday.
I like Friday the
Hungover
best.
Yeah.
Because they want to get home. But the Saturday crew, they're just angry that they're there on Saturday. So they might just take that out on you, though.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it could also be like the weekend, like keen casuals that are there
Yeah.
till they do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to prove to their boss that they're worthy of their weekday shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to kick them up to Bunnings, you know. I knew someone that went to that, like, was working as a BA, right? This dude was a year away from retirement,
Hang on, what's a BA?
business analyst.
Oh, okay.
So it's. Does anyone know what a BA? Does people know
I am.
business
Dave
analyst?
literally
Yeah.
is one.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a BA?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
awesome. So
Like
yeah.
currently.
So anyway, a year away from retirement, has been a BA for years, right? Getting paid some good bucks, and then got made redundant a year before he was going to retire. So he goes, I think I'm just going to go to Bunnings and work at Bunnings. I'm like, it's a pretty serious step down. Like, I understand you like arts and crafts and shit, but like
And sausages and
being
bread.
a BA and then working in Bunnings, I think it's going to be a pretty big.
It's got to be the lifestyle change rather.
It's got to be pretty cruisy at Bunnings, I think.
He just wants to wear.
I
an
don't
apron.
think anything is cruisy at Bunnings. Have you seen people at Bunnings? Like the people that, if you've ever asked for help at Bunnings, they do this. They go, "No, you can't paint your dog."
I think that might be just you, Sean.
Oh, fuck, this guy's back. He's got his Allen keys.
It's the painting dog guy again.
Like, just use the Allen key, and it'll all be fine. Yeah,
That's it. Yeah.
Probably. I'm probably on some sort of list. People like, this guy walks into Bunnings, don't let him near power tools.
Yeah, I imagine, like, because I imagine this person's old. An old person at Bunnings, they're just fucking around, chatting.
Yeah?
They're not really... Can I swear? I can swear, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
of course,
good.
yep.
They're not really, like... They're not expected to do much.
No.
They're just
No.
kind of expected to wander around and give some tips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, yeah, you can use that, you can't use that.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Some of them are pretty bad tips too, though, but that's okay.
Are they?
Yeah. Well, in the plumbing section anyway, they are.
Do you just go and like audit?
Sometimes I'm like picking stuff out and then I hear them say something and I go, no, that's going to be bad. It's going to be very bad. Yeah.
All right. I just would look, because you've done plumbing for how many years have you
It'll
done?
be 15 years now.
This
Yeah,
dude
it's been a while.
in Canada, right? We're driving past an apartment building, and I think you took a bit of a detour to show me this. Showed me this big apartment building. He was like, see that place? Every single toilet I put in.
That was me.
Right.
Yep.
Pretty.
How
That's
many
pretty
toilets was
impressive.
in there? Were in there? Give or take.
There was 5 floors with 25 units each, and 2 toilets per unit. I got down to about 4 toilets per hour install. Yeah,
4 toilets per hour.
I could do one
Whoa.
in 15 minutes. That's including cleaning up and leaving.
Cleaning the toilet?
Yeah, cleaning the toilet. I take a dirty shit in it after.
It's not a toilet putting in stats. It's a shit taking stats.
Yeah, exactly.
I think any contractor at one project level has those war stories that they'll tell you about. Like,
Yeah.
You see that air conditioning ductwork? That was all me.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah.
See this? See all these pipes? Back in Canada, you couldn't put them outside of a building.
No,
That's,
you can't. No,
They
freezing.
freeze. Yeah.
Yeah, because of
Very
freezing.
interesting. Plumbing industry a lot easier.
Wild moose might tear them down. I don't know. Canada.
Yeah, that's it.
Those moose will ruin your car. You got to be real careful.
They
of
are
moose.
way bigger than you think they will be in real life. Like, you think they're big, and then you drive past one, and it's huge. Like, they're massive. They're like a bear on stilts with huge fucking horns. Like, no, they're six. They're
demon bear.
6'2" or 6 something to the back.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That is-
So and
that's
then their
pretty
head
big.
and then their antlers. Yeah, but they can't. They walk like they're completely drunk. Like, they can't. When they run away, they throw their legs around to try. I don't know how. Anyway, it's. Yeah.
How common are they, like, around the highways?
I only
and roads
saw
and stuff?
one,
Yeah,
and it
right.
was fairly far inland. Yeah, I saw one. Yeah, just for about 10 seconds, but I was like, "Holy shit, what was that?"
See, I'm always paranoid when I'm driving in like country roads that a kangaroo's going to jump in my car.
You see those
In
signs?
your
car?
Yeah.
Well, if they hit your car, they're getting in that car.
Well,
Like,
Dukes of
okay. I was
Hazzard,
gonna say-
yeah.
I can't give you a lift,
into
guy.
the
Oh,
It's
Levi.
kangaroo hitchhiking.
Don't box me.
Levi had a bat fly in the window of her car while she was driving.
Holy
What?
hell.
Hey, what do you mean?
Did she
There's
compose
a
herself?
Where?
window. She's just driving along, and a bat flew in the window. And it was just
So, like, I imagine the bat is thinking, like, they're doing their sonar thing.
yeah. They're
And they're
just
like, oh, there's a gap in this, whatever this is.
Yeah.
You jump through the gap. Oh.
Well,
I'm in a
I don't know if it thought about it, because it's flying along, and then it's something that's going 100 kilometers an hour is coming completely
Intercept.
right angle to where you are, and then all of a sudden you're inside. And
Who's
I don't know.
freaking out?
Yeah, who's
I
freaking
imagine,
out?
yeah.
Who's freaking out?
I
Yeah.
don't think there's anyone that would not freak out if a bat
Yeah.
flew into your
I mean,
car.
I'd probably take it in my
Oh,
spot.
yeah?
But everyone else.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And she kept the 4 wheels on the road.
Yeah.
Wow.
How's this the first time I'm hearing about this? That should have been your wedding speech.
Yeah.
I've had a bat flying into the car.
No, there's lots of stuff that has happened to Levi.
That wasn't a good story.
No, it wasn't at all.
The
But
bar
it's
set
keep
pretty
it
low.
going. It was
You know what I
something.
mean?
God damn it! Yeah.
Need some content. You know what I mean?
I've been listening to a lot of particle physics lectures. That's about it, really.
What?
Don't ask me about it
Okay.
because the more I listen to them, the less I should talk about them. Because
Are they like TED Talks?
no, they're like university courses that come in like 25 to 30 lectures a piece. Yeah, and
Okay.
half an hour to 45 minutes a piece. Yeah,
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I find it fascinating. Yeah,
Just run out of podcasts.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, you listen to podcasts? How quaint.
Yeah. No, that's about it. Yeah, I just started listening to those, going through those. Yeah,
Anything happened to you guys this week? Anything interesting?
Along the same lines, I've been listening to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History podcast,
I've just got into that.
which is like, it is incredible.
Yeah.
But along the same lines, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing because I'm enthralled by it. But if you ask me anything, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I might remember a few like odd names, but it's not. It's
Did you
not
listen to the World
sinking
War
in.
II one?
No, the one I went through is the Celtic Holocaust, and then I'm going through one now, which is ancient Babylon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I've only just started on and I've listened to the World War II because they go for 4 hours.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
each
yeah.
episode goes for 4 hours. It is fascinating.
So good. He's got a real knack of being able to communicate
Yeah.
some pretty dry material in a really
I know.
basic and listenable way. Yeah.
yeah, that's really good. And I've been listening to that and Business Wars.
What's Business Wars?
So Business Wars is two companies that have battled at some point in their career, and they just go through that whole thing. So the one at the moment they're going through eBay and PayPal. Before that, there was Beats by Dre and Monster headphones,
All right.
which is amazing. Because I watched, I know you guys are Netflix fans too. I watched the Defiant ones, which is about Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine going, creating beats and everything. And there's like, maybe 5 minutes at the most where they talk about Monster. But you listen to this Business Wars, and it was just like ridiculous. So Monster is like they started with in cabling, so like audio visual cables. So when everyone was trying to make their cables cheaper, Monster went the other way and just tried to make everything more expensive. So every cable was gold wiring, and everything was like to make the hi-fi like the best, like to make everything amazing. It was started by an audio engineer, so everything was supposed to be like top of the range.
I can't believe this is an applicable tidbit, but I used to run Monster Cable staff sessions
No way.
when I was at Dick Smith Electronics.
Yeah, cool. So they're pretty impressive cables.
Oh yeah, they really are.
And they're not cheap.
Yeah, they're not.
Aren't they famously a rip-off, though? Isn't that
what?
the whole thing about them? Like, technically, they're not actually any better?
No, technically they're significantly better than like your run-of-the-mill single coil cables, but
Okay.
you can probably get something that's a bit better. That's not that's like not quite as good, but the price difference is
Yeah.
large. But they're good cables. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they were like, we're going to get into audio, we're going to get into headphones and stuff. And the son was trying to like prove to his dad, I can run this company, I can do something. So his first thing was to launch this headphone offshoot of Monster, right? So he's like, well, we need to get a famous celebrity, we need to get an endorsement, get somebody. So so they met with Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine, and was like, we want to put your name on headphones. So they were like, yeah, sweet, let's do it. And then they figured out where Monster was building the headphones and all that sort of stuff, and then just kind of just cut them out completely of the of the game, and then just ran off with Beats as it is.
Which is now an empire.
Yeah. Or just sold to Apple, didn't it? Yeah.
Cheers. All right, so Peter Weldon wrote in and he says, "What's
Hey,
going on,
Pete.
chaps? Bunnings toilets and shit." Yep. And he said, "Had a bat hit my knee while I was riding my Harley, and it left a perfect face print."
Okay. That is awesome.
Yeah, that's good. I
That's
like
like
that.
the
Yeah.
best thing.
Can
I
we
like
ask
that.
if he got that tattooed? Like, go straight to the tattooist and get that
Like, just
tattooed?
go,
That
I
is
want
an
this
amazing
dead.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the branding, like just get a branding Iron Maiden, just like
Yeah.
so it's like it just scars. You're like, that bat scarred my knee.
When I was riding my hog.
Getting hit by a bat while you're like driving a Harley sounds like a Meatloaf song.
Yeah.
It really does.
Sounds like a Meatloaf
it's like-
career.
It does.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Was it at the grand final? That's awesome. Didn't you? Oh, you've hit some things riding your.
I almost hit horses riding a bike. Yeah.
How did you almost like they're?
Well,
I know
because
they're not as big
I was
as a
riding
moose,
along,
but-
and then as you're coming past them, they got spooked, and they just, instead of running into the field, they ran across the road.
Horses,
so
horses
it
are
was
dumb,
yeah. It's pretty scary. It is actually really scary. Yeah, because if you don't do it perfectly, you're gonna drop the bike, and it's gonna hurt really bad.
So you like weaved around the horses.
Well, trying to brake really hard and keep the bike upright
Yeah.
and trying to get through a couple horses. Yeah, it's all kind of, yeah.
Some evil Knievel sort of stuff there.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, I just needed a jump and then
Yeah.
and
Jumped
a
off.
cape.
He goes
I need
over
a cape.
things.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
At any point, did you think I can maybe go under them and like, I don't know, do like skid the bike through and then pop up?
No,
Okay,
but I will remember that for next time.
try it out.
Yeah, yeah.
I also saw in a movie you could have just like launched yourself over the horse.
Oh yeah.
The bike would have continued under,
Underneath.
and you could have just gone straight away into the sunset.
And yeah,
If anyone
Just-
could have pulled that trick off, it would have
Yeah.
been you. When Matt and I were kids, because like we've known each other since we were 4.
yeah.
Matt kind of pictured himself as a bit of a stunt man when we were kids, and I am pretty much useless at everything.
The opposite.
I'm the opposite of him with these things. So, inevitably it would be me injuring myself very badly trying to like follow his tricks, like jumping over chairs and all this sort of stuff. This one day we were riding along, and Matt's like, "Oh, do you want to switch bikes?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, we'll switch bikes." So I give him my mountain bike. I'm on his BMX, and we're riding along. We come to this giant hill, so we're flying down this hill, and I go to put on the brakes, and they don't work. So I turn to him. I'm like, "Dude, what's going on with your brakes? They don't work." And he goes, "Oh, I took all the brakes off. It's a stunt bike now," and just like whizzed past me. And I'm like, "How do I stop?" Because you just jump.
Yeah, yeah.
I stacked so bad. So
Yeah,
bad.
Yeah.
And
he
then
didn't have any like red flags going off when he's like, "Hey, do you want to switch bikes? Do you want to switch bikes?"
The kid on the BMX is
My-
always trying to upgrade to a mountain bike.
That's it,
right?
yeah.
there's so many things that I should have gone, hang on a minute. Maybe that's not like when Matt's like, let's play in. I found an old fuel tank at the abandoned servo. Let's jump in it. That should have been one of the times I was like, let's not jump in an
That's a
abandoned.
very, very dangerous thing to do.
I know.
Getting in an old fuel tank that's empty.
Yeah.
What's the
People
danger?
have-
Just fumes?
Yeah, fumes.
I think it's fumes and buildup of carbon dioxide and everything, and you can like there was a couple guys that tried. It's actually really sad. There's a couple of kids or teenagers, I guess, or whatever, sons that tried to rescue their dad from a pit that just and all 3 of them unfortunately lost their life because of it, because he passed out at the bottom. And and they went to, and they, obviously you panic and you want to save your dad, and sometimes you just don't think about it, and you don't have much control over it. You just pass out. Yeah,
Their Southern Bay Brewing has got. I don't know. Have you guys ever been to Southern Bay
never.
Brewing in Geelong? So their fermenters are long, rectangular, like horizontal fermenters, right? And to clean them, they actually go in with breathing apparatus and like clean the fermenters. But that's one of the things is they've got to have like a working confined spaces and all that because of that exact reason.
yeah, because you can pass out. And
Yeah.
So there was I used to work with a guy, and he worked on the oil rigs up in northern Canada, and a guy went into one of these huge containers or whatever and didn't realize, and normally you have to have little sensing equipment and that, and the guy passed out, and his boss thought he was just like he managed to pass out, so he was leaning against the wall, right, and his boss thought he'd passed out because he just had a hard night the night before, so he went up to the back of him with about a 4-foot pipe wrench to the back of the silo or whatever the tank was, and just took a huge swing, but he wanted to scare him, but didn't realize accidentally hit the silo right in the back of the guy's head.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What are the
What are the chances of that happening, right? Yeah.
So he was inside the silo?
The guy was inside the silo. The boss saw him inside the
silo.
out.
So he went to the outside of the silo.
He was all... Yeah,
I've
so
got
he's
an
looking
idea.
in and going,
Yeah.
I'm going to play a trick on him. And he gathered a whole bunch of guys around. He's like, check this out. Check this out. He got this 3 or 4 foot pipe wrench and just went bang against the huge tank, but hit him in the back of the head.
What?
Yeah. I think the guy was possibly dead already, though, in the bottom of the tank.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Okay,
then.
well, happy
Yeah.
ending then of that story.
Anyway, yeah.
That's also a happy ending of that
Oh,
story.
yeah. So at least he didn't hear that. Yeah, he didn't feel the pipe wrench, but yeah.
Pranks.
Cool. Anyway.
Oh, Jesus.
Took a bit of a turn. Eh?
Yeah, I know. How other interesting ways have people died? It's
anyway.
okay. He was already dead. He hit a cadaver in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, my
Yep.
God. All right. All right. So
Jesus.
this is my other segment. It's buying beer.
Mm.
It's about who has been bought out in the beer industry.
Right.
No one this week, unfortunately. There were like 2 last week.
Who were the 2 last week?
Harrington's and Booze Bud
Oh, yeah.
got bought out.
Yep.
I don't know. Did anyone get bought out this week?
Officially, no.
Officially, no. Unofficially.
Oh, there's got to be some talks going
there's-
on about
there-
it. It has to be.
There are rumours.
Ah.
But I can't, obviously I can't say them
Obviously,
here.
you can't. Yeah.
But, I don't know. Things are happening, apparently.
Yeah. I think there's quite a few people that I would think.
Look, there are companies that would like to buy other companies
Yes.
and may or may not have already bought them.
Oh, really?
That's all I'm saying.
Ah. Big companies
you
buy
know
little
things?
companies or companies merging?
I guess business in general. This is just how business works, you know?
So, yeah, I guess when we find out those companies, then we'll know. This computer really needs to be rebooted.
Yeah, I'm looking at
Jesus
all I can
Christ,
see
what's
is
going on here?
AdBlock
Adblock Plus has been installed, which is good. Block out all those ads. Plus.
It is good.
Oh, you
There
got
we go.
to
We're
get the
back.
plus.
All right.
So, yeah, well, if we go to what happened last week, the Booze Bud
Mhm.
or Harrington's. I know Harrington's buyout didn't seem to raise anybody's... Like, not even Brews News had anything to really say about Harrington's getting bought out.
Do you guys know much about Harrington's?
No, next to nothing. About
So
Harrington's.
they...
Were they in... I
They're-
thought they might have been in Dan's, but were they not in Dan's?
Not really present in New Zealand, in Australia at all.
Okay.
If
I reckon they were 6 years ago. I reckon.
Yeah?
They had that
All right,
like,
cool.
brief.
That's what I would have thought.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen... Like, I had a look at
Could
the
have been
labels.
when there was.
sure.
Do you remember when they had like a collective in New Zealand that would send some containers across to Melbourne when it wasn't viable for any one brewery to send
Okay,
a
yep.
container across? I think
Okay,
they might have been
they were
part
in
of that.
All right.
they've been around for years, like one of
Yeah.
the sort of old hands in the New Zealand world. They've never done anything too crazy. It's just kind of a family-owned brewery on a big scale. Like
Yeah.
they've got a really good presence in Christchurch and really nowhere else.
Mhm.
I remember when I'd go back and quite recently you can get their Pilsner $15 I think maybe 20 for 15
Okay.
case, like a 15 case of bottles.
Yep.
Really good value and always really good. So I think people in Christchurch have sort of an affinity for the brand, but I don't think anyone is really like, oh, Harrington's is my beer.
Yeah.
It's just more they've been around for a while. They make good beer. They do a lot of contract brewing as well. I think I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure after the earthquakes in Christchurch, they took a lot of slack for a lot of breweries and helped them out.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
So they've been around for
So
a while.
that's a bit of a sad thing then for like independent brewers that are just trying to get like I don't see Lion opening up that brewery and being like, yeah, let's a bunch of craft brewers come in and do stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
sure how much contract they're doing now, but
Okay.
it was a family-run thing. New Zealand, I guess, has a lot more of those family and the Coopers mould kind of things.
Right.
When you look at like Emerson's or Harrington's, and
Yeah.
they've just been around for a while, doing their own thing, haven't really engaged in the world of craft, in a crazy extent, but they're doing their own thing in their own way. So
Okay.
it's always a shame to, I guess, lose them.
What do you
Those
reckon
brewers.
an Aussie equivalent to that would be?
I don't think there's too many.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Um,
Maybe Grand Ridge, maybe?
Yeah, like a Grand
Okay.
no,
Grand Ridge?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. In that
Sort
ballpark.
of not pushing too hard
Yeah.
at the cutting edge of things, but
Yep.
Or
still.
Red Hill maybe.
Yeah, on a bigger scale.
Bigger scale,
for
but
sure.
that sort of vibe though, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Almost like a Bridge Road, even.
Oh. Okay.
You
Yep.
know, really down the line, really good.
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, that's all I got.
What do you reckon about Lion and CB? So it seems like Lion's really sort of pushing the forefront of buying brands a lot more than like CB sort of, or AB InBev now has just started to kind of get into that. But they kind of could be. It seems like Lion's kind of going for like, well, we've got this much money, we can either buy one really big one or we can buy like 3 little ones, and they're going for the 3 little ones. And AB InBev is like, let's go for the big ones.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Lion, they've kind of got their mid-tier craft brands, for lack of a better word, like
Yep.
Little Creatures, James Squire. They haven't really pushed into some of the more esoteric ones. White Rabbit's probably pretty esoteric now, but that was always pretty tame.
Yeah.
Whereas AB and Bev now they've kind of got more presence in Australia. And they're looking to buy things. They've gone for Pirate Life, who are right at the cutting edge.
Yeah.
They're the darlings of the scene. So, yeah, I think they're more willing to drop a bundle on that big purchase.
Yeah.
To sort of get that, shore up that national distribution for that kind of a brand, and then get that IPA out
I
there.
feel like they haven't done enough with their craft brands. Like I really thought when they started buying things, I was like, okay, this is the death now. This is real. This is going to be really bad because in Victoria, especially, like every second pub is a CUB pub. They've got the biggest footprint. I thought they'd go in and be like, you want craft? Here's Goose Island, Pirate Life, and Four Pines, and then that's it. Then like lock every single tap. They haven't seemed to do that.
They seem, from what I've seen, going into new pubs, which I do frequently, they will tout their craft beer credentials.
Yep.
And then you'll look and it will be that tap lineup you just described: Goose Island, Pirate Life, Four Pines.
I've seen Goose Island a lot of places.
Yeah.
But I've seen like McCracken's more than I've seen Four Pines.
I think they're focusing on new installs or refurbs. Anyone, because there's a lot of pubs that are old manny that are looking at what say Sandhill Road are doing here in Melbourne, which big pub group buying up old pubs, refurbing them, making them modern.
Yep.
I think a lot of pubs are seeing that and going, shit, we need to up our game, and that's when those taps will change into the Four Pines and Pirate Life.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been into maybe half a dozen where they'll have those, they'll have one of the Yaks, they'll have Great Northern, and they'll have Carlton Draft. And it looks like a great tap lineup. If you don't know those brands, you're like, oh, there's six interesting beers,
Diverse, yeah.
and they've got maybe a Pirate Life IPA in the fridge, and half a dozen Four Pines. Oh, great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's essentially locking everyone out. The other one I'm seeing popping up is their Bellamy's cider.
Okay.
Which is CUB's attempt, I guess attempt at doing Willie Smith's. It looks very much like Willie Smith's, and I think I don't know if Willie Smith took action on it, but I know they were unhappy with how the Bellamy cider looked, and that's in all of those pubs as well.
Okay.
So I think they're really going for that. Not going into the traditional pubs, but when someone refurbs, that's what they're going to get.
Do you know the Willie Smith's guys?
No.
Yeah, they're really interesting dudes. If you ever get a chance to have a chat to them, it'd probably be Sam, I'd reckon, that you'd probably talk to, the younger guy.
Yep.
They are very, very interesting dudes. Every time I'm up in Queensland, because we share a distributor. So in Queensland, I've got like the Calibre craft beer. The portfolio in Calibre is so much fun in Queensland. I love going to Queensland. The events, it's us, Hop Nation, Exit, Red Hill. It used to be Feral, obviously they're no longer, but Willie Smith's, Slipstream, and probably some others that I'm forgetting.
It's a good group though.
Yeah. But it's just so much fun. And they do their block party and stuff. We're all putting our beers on and just hanging out. So
I think the other thing, just going back to the CUB Lion conversations, I think Lion are responding to some of their customers are big groups but want to offer more diverse crafts.
Yeah.
I've got a friend of mine who's pretty heavily involved at Dixon Hospitality, who brought up God knows how many pubs. I think 54 or something.
And
in the last
Hawthorn,
couple
didn't they
of
buy
years.
Hawthorn?
They bought Hawthorn that's a different conversation. And yeah, his directive was like, we're going with Lion because if we want to push craft as part of our business, then they offer a lot more as far as different products that they can put into their venues.
Yeah, well, I think that's a way to get your foot into Melbourne, especially. Like I remember like 10, 15 years ago, they were starting to buy up pubs and stuff, and it would be 2Es and, and all that stuff and 4X, and Melbourne's just would not drink there. So one of the famous one that I knew was the Canadian, the one in Carlton, like the Moosehead Bar or the Canadian or something like that. So that was a CUB pub. Then it got sold to 2Es or to Lion, and it just no one would drink there. And then it got switched back to CUB. And I remember because I was working across the road, and when it switched back, everyone was like, "It's a CUB pub again. Everyone get down to, to the Canadian."
Do you think anyone does that now? Do you think that's the same kind of attitude of like, oh, they don't have any CUB beers, they've only got Lion beers? Or do you think tastes have matured?
The circles that I'm in, I would have no idea.
Yeah,
that's the
neither
problem.
do I. Yeah,
because like I talk to people about beer and stuff, and like I'm like, oh, Moondog, and they got no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, how do you not know Moondog? They're huge, you know what I mean? Or I'll talk about different people and stuff, and they're like, they just don't,
well, For Lion, Furphy is huge.
I was about to say
that's the one that people go.
I was just about to say that the thing that when I talk about craft beer, they go, I had a Furphy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's not a craft beer. It wasn't even a craft beer, and then got sold and is no longer a craft beer. It was never.
That's making them a fortune, though.
It is. It's incredible how much it's making them, and that's the thing. I think it was that kind of underground thing of like it looked kind of like a craft beer where like they didn't advertise it. It just suddenly just started appearing on taps, and people were like, "Oh, this must be one of them new beers," and then would start drinking it. I think it might be the only one where it's actually not pushed people out of mainstream.
Yeah.
Like I think the other stuff like Matilda Bay and all the other ones or Yak or whatever the heck they want to call that brand now is sort of like being that people would drink it and then it would push them into, oh, well, I've tried this, maybe I'll try something else. It just seemed like Furphy, like they just got to Furphy and stopped.
Yep.
And then that's it. They just drink Furphy now, and it's not the same thing. What do you reckon? Same?
It's hard to say. I don't understand the rise of Furphy. I don't know how it happened.
Neither do I. Like it's not a terrible beer, but it's not.
Yeah.
I think it's been marketed smartly. I think the stubbies and now cans sort of like conjure up that sort of parochial. It looks like an old school like Big V, State of Origin jumper, something like that. I think it sort of taps into a bit of that where like I know a lot of people that don't drink craft that like just buy cases and cases and cases of Furphy.
The price point as well.
Yeah, of course.
Like I think it's probably even cheaper than Yak. I'm not sure, but if you can get a slab of something with a big V on it that is around that $50 a slab price, then you're not even going to look at Stone and Wood Pacific Ale, which is probably your next step.
Yeah.
So you're locked in there on that price suddenly. Yeah. People come in, like I work at the bottle shop sometimes, and people come in, they're like, "What do you got like Furphy?" I'm like,
oh, really?
Yeah. I'm like, I don't really know. I don't think I've tried it, but I'm guessing something like this. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
So what would you give them? Crush or?
Yeah, Kaiju Crush.
Stone and Wood.
Stone and Wood. I don't think we didn't stock it. So Kaiju Crush or Moondog beer can.
Oh yeah.
I'd point them that way and give them a spiel. I'd probably push them to a Blackman's Lager. I'd say Blackman's come from the same area.
Yep.
Husband and wife team. Support the small guys. And give them a lager, and it works pretty well.
That's one thing that hasn't. It's amazing that hasn't kind of worked in Australia is the small guy thing of being like with your beer. Craft beer is Australian, owned by Australians, worked by Australians, everything. Your two majors are international companies. It hasn't kind of got that.
I think it does
that
on
buy-
premise, but the package stuff, there's a gap there.
Yeah, on premise in small towns.
I think people
if you
love
can get
going to their local brewery.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff. Yeah.
And you talk to like Hop Nation's a good example where they've built a pretty good following through the beer geeks, but now in places around Footscray they're popping up more and more So the Victoria Hotel, which is an old school pub, which got
Yep.
redone. A lot of the locals are still going in, and now I think the Hop Nation Pale is almost outselling Carlton Draft.
Wow.
And a lot of the old blokes have just switched to that because it's,
local.
local guys,
Yeah.
and they make a good beer, and the bar people are kind of pushing it and saying, you should try this one out. It's Footscray. So I think it's something I really try and hammer home to people when I'm doing tastings and things. Kind of almost put that taste aside and say, you're probably not going to like the beer, but it's a husband and wife team.
Yeah.
They're having a go. It's a small business. It's so cool to see these guys popping up and let's all support them.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of, when people think about that and have it presented that way, that changes their thinking. Okay, it's not Carlton Draft. It's not trying to be Carlton Draft. It's just a nice product made by a couple of lovely people.
That's an awesome way of looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially regionally, when I go up to the high country every
Yeah.
year and do the sort of rounds around there, and the people are just there because it's the local brewery.
Well, we do some of our brewing out at Social Bandit up in Mansfield, and when Jeff started, he thought it was going to be majority of sort of on premise and selling and wholesale, and majority of it is just the people coming to his to his restaurant. It's like, what is it? Sort of like a pizzeria.
yeah, it's
and
like a
brew
little
pub. It's an interesting thing. Like, you can still see his crazy brewing setup. And have you've both been there?
I haven't been
I
there.
have, yeah,
Ah.
yeah.
Has he told you a story about that brew house?
I don't think he has. No.
Oh, that dude has that brew house. So it's a German brew house that was sold to a Japanese brewery. So this brew pub in Japan had it. So everything on the thing is in German or in Japanese. So he bought this brewery secondhand off these Japanese people, got it shipped down to him in pieces. It arrives in Australia. Customs has a look at it and goes, what the hell is this? Maybe there's drugs in it. So then they pull it apart even more. Like brick by brick, they pulled it apart to check every single thing to see that there wasn't anything in it, right? So he gets it in even more parts than what it got sent. No manual, no directions on how to put it together. So he calls the German company that made the brewery and said, "Hey, I've just bought your brewery secondhand. Can you send me the manual?" And they
Do
said,
I
"We don't
use a
have-"
drill to put this
Yeah, that's
Allen
right.
key
Yeah,
screw in?
And they so he goes, "Oh, have you guys got the manual?" And they go, "No, there's no manual. The way we work is that you buy the brewery off us, we come and build it for you and train you how to use it, and then we'll do that for you." And then the cost was double what he paid for the brewery.
Right.
So he's like, "Just send me your documentation. I'll do it myself." And they said, "There is no way you're going to put this brewery together by yourself." He goes, "Mate, I don't know if you know about Australians. We're going to be able to do it. So how about you just help me out, or or get off the phone."
That's not a brewery.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
a brewery.
So he put that thing together. It's in Japanese or German, and he just through trial and error figured out what everything was. Would press a button because it's all pneumatically driven. So he'd press a button and then try to work out what that was firing and where that was going. And he put that entire brewery together. It is the most complicated brewery as well of how it actually makes beer. Is not like most. I know you guys talk about visiting, because you go visit a hell of a lot of breweries, and as you go around for the brewery tour, it's like, and that's a hot liquor tank, and that's a mash tun, and it's like it's the exact same thing every single time. Like, everyone has essentially the same brewery, except for Jeff. His brewery is actually the most different brewery that I've ever seen. So his kettle. So usually when you're getting stuff through the mash tun or the kettle or anything, and you're trying to get it to temp, you have elements in there, or you have a steam jacket that heats that kettle up. Jeff's got pipes that shoots it down to the other end of the brewery and runs it through a heat exchanger and then fires it back through.
Okay.
So he can actually dial in the temp exactly to what he wants that beer to be, and it just cycles through. So when you're mash everything, he could do step mashes. It'll actually pump grist everything through a heat exchange, heat it in this block heater at the back of his warehouse, and then back through, and then and heat up the beer. And what it means is you don't get any caramelization of malts in the brewery. It's and you can to a 0.1 degree you can rein in exactly what temperature you want that thing.
All I'm thinking about is one of those Germans coming to visit and going, "This isn't even sort of what it's supposed to be like."
Exactly. What the hell are you doing? Why are you sending
Take your
all
time all the way up there? That's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very true. He might not have actually built it correctly, but that's how he's done it. So, but it is one of the most interesting breweries I've ever seen, and once again, it's all written in German. And when he put it together, he didn't change it to English. Like, I would have probably labelled things as I was going
Yeah.
in the English He's still got it in
He
Japanese
learned
and
German.
He's
He
just
just
got some
learned
functional
German.
German.
Nah, he
there,
just
yeah.
knows what buttons. You know what it is? On the actual brew house.
Oh, what?
there's
So
a
all the
diagram.
buttons are still in German?
Yes.
Oh,
Or
that's ridiculous.
No, German and Japanese.
And Japanese.
But there's a diagram at the top of the control panel
Yep.
that has lights of where the things are. So as you push the buttons, it lights up. So that's how he'd operate. Is he put it all together and would push the button and go, "Oops, I don't want that to go there." So he just filled it with water and just sent water around everywhere just to figure out where it goes. So
Interesting.
yeah.
That's pretty great.
So yeah, if you want a brewery that's different to every other brewery, have a chat to him because
Yeah.
it's bananas how that thing works.
That's great.
So Ale of a time, you guys have how long have you been podcasting for?
Don't know.
I reckon it's 3.5 years.
Yeah, I was writing something the other day and I had to put when the podcast started.
Yeah.
Instead of actually looking, like I could easily check on iTunes. I think I guessed 2014.
I don't know.
2015?
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
about that.
Well, let's figure it out because I reckon we did run Melbourne in July 2015, so it would have been the previous summer.
So
There you
yeah,
go,
we started in
2014.
November, so 2014.
2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because I remember you guys were at one of the first Good Beer Week launch events, the Good Beer Week showcase.
Yeah,
Yep,
yep.
for
Is
sure.
that when he
Yep.
had it at where was it? Wasn't
Was it at Ormond Hall? The
There was
one,
one
next to the
there.
Belgian beer, what's it called these days? The Village Melbourne or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not even the Village Melbourne anymore. I don't think it's anything.
Ah, yeah, right. But it was in that location though, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
yeah.
And I remember you doing an interview. I think that might have been the first year that Boat Rocker had their new beer of Ramjet.
Yeah, right.
That tracks.
That
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
launched, and everyone was just like, "What the hell is this beer?"
I'm still suspicious about them winning that Best in Show every year.
Every single year.
Like, I don't know. Like, I know it's a lot of trade and stuff like that of people that are more inclined to enjoy those kinds of beers, but like barrel aged Imperial Stout winning a People's Choice back to back to back to back or whatever. I don't know.
See,
I'm not suggesting anything, but
Yeah.
like, that's just odd
That's
to me.
literally what you're doing.
No, it really
you
is.
are suggesting
That is what I'm
something.
suggesting. Yeah.
See, I think maybe it's the Gabs effect of
Mm.
people are drinking that much of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've ever given someone a bottle of Praline, but they would not be winning anybody's
It's-
award.
Oh, and any of the other winners.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's the Pepsi Coke thing, where
Mm.
like Pepsi always wins blind trials against Coke because all the people sampling are having a small sample.
Yeah.
So Pepsi are like, everyone that tastes it thinks that ours is better. Why are we not selling more?
Yeah.
And they realise that it was just sweeter, and so it's harder to drink a can,
Ah.
but easier to drink a sample. So I think it was in the 80s or something.
Oh, I didn't know
That makes sense, yeah.
Mm.
Pepsi is sweeter for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
So they didn't learn from it. They just
No.
carried on.
But even with the Gabs effect,
Yeah.
Here we go.
I don't know. Like the fact that I mean,
Okay.
there's less punters in that festival than anything else, I guess. But
Could be that.
Yeah.
Also, have you guys ever worked behind a bar at a festival?
no, I haven't. But
I have,
Lucas,
yep.
yeah.
So I would reckon maybe the top two questions: what tastes like Carlton Draft, and the second is what's your most alcoholic beer?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Ramjet doesn't get anywhere near the first one, but that
Yeah.
second one that is
Yeah,
probably the
fair
most
enough.
alcoholic beer that's at one of those
Yeah.
festivals will be Ramjet.
But it's phenomenal.
It is.
So
It's a
good.
damn.
Yeah.
It's an amazing beer.
Yeah.
But,
I love Banshee as well. That
Banshee?
The barley wine.
Barley wine of theirs. Yeah, I reckon that's really good.
I should get into barley wines. Haven't for ages, and then I drank Galactopus the other day, and I was like, man,
Who's that? Whose is that?
Little Bang
Mm.
Brewery.
Pretty good.
I don't think I've ever had it.
Okay. I had the Three Ravens new one.
Yeah.
Delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, the barley one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it's Galactopus is one of those beers I've seen it so many times, and I'm like, I should probably pick that up the next time I'm around. You know what I mean? Like I usually am buying, Jiffy Squid or Squid Rising. So I'm like, I've already got one octopus themed.
Yeah,
beer.
you're just going to commit to octopus beers.
How many octopus beers do I really need?
I know someone that loves octopus. Like she's just like a huge fan. I think she's got an octopus tattoo.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she's got an octopus teapot, and she occasionally seems to.
So how does that pour? Like, it
Yeah,
just
I know.
pours like
Do you know
cups
which
at
one
once?
it's going to have?
And she occasionally sends me pictures of beers, and she's like, "Where can I get this?" And it'll be Squid Rising or Galactopus or something.
Squid Rising, I absolutely love that beer. But I think, to me, it might be the Bintang effect. The first time I had that beer was, the Bintang effect, like in Brews News, it's one of the things Matt Kierkegaard is talking about when he's not talking about brewed IPAs. He's talking about, he talks about the Bintang effect. And the first time I had that was at Brews Vegas 2 years ago. And it was at, I think it was, it's probably at Brewski, which is an amazing bar. Matt at Brewski's an absolute legend. But and it was all the brewers at one of the last nights at Brews Vegas. They had a keg on, and we were all just drinking it for free. Like every single person was just pints and pints of Squid Rising. We're all just like, yeah, it tastes like juice. What the hell's going on there? And then I swear to God, a month after that, everyone had New England IPAs out. Everyone.
What's a Bintang effect?
So Bintang effect is it's the Brews News. Is it? And did they come up with it, or did he just steal it from someone?
I don't know.
I couldn't tell you, but I assume it's the experience making the beer rather than the beer making the experience.
Yeah.
Is that
So
right?
what it is,
Yeah.
the Bintang effect is if you drink Bintang in where's it from? Thailand, Malaysia,
Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia.
Whatever it is.
You're on
yeah.
huying, you're on a beach.
You have to buy the
You're
singlet.
buying this. Yeah, you're buying the singlet.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
You're drinking Bintang on the beach in a tropical paradise.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're loving it, and it's freaking hot and humid.
Yeah, yeah.
So a beer that is easy to drink is goes
yeah.
down well.
You'll forgive many sins in that
That's
situation.
right. Yeah.
It's going to
Yeah.
be the best beer.
And you
regardless.
just think Bintang is amazing. Then you come back to Australia and you buy a Bintang because you drank it over there and it tastes amazing, and it tastes like shit.
So it's like a vacation relationship or
Yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
holiday.
The beer is
the
one
beer-
small part of your great
Holiday
holiday
Yeah.
fleas.
The beer isn't great. It's just the memory
Yeah,
of that
okay,
thing has
gotcha.
made you.
I had that exact experience with Pacifico in Mexico.
Yeah.
Drinking it on the beaches in Mexico on holiday. Unbelievable. Best beer I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Back here, oh boy.
I like to call it the grease effect. You get some summer lovin', get back to school,
There you
you
go, I
start a
like
new
that.
school,
Yeah, yeah.
and you meet Danny and you realise he's a bit of a jerk.
Yeah. It's true. But yeah, and also with that, talking about Brews News, Kierkegaard really enjoys talking about brewed IPA lately. Have you noticed that the last 20 episodes has been
I haven't, but
And,
to be fair, every
you guys
single new
kind of triggered that off?
Yeah, I haven't listened. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts as a whole now, so I haven't actually caught up. But someone mentioned that they have been talking about brewed IPAs a lot. In
20
reference-
episodes now. 20 episodes. He's been talking about.
in reference, and I think to ours,
Because yours was the first. We're talking about the one the collab
Southern
you did
Brewed with Wolf of the
Southern
Willows.
Brewed.
So we weren't the first,
not the first,
but we were kind of,
Really?
I guess, the widest
I
out
think
there.
definitely not even the first packaged, but
Who did the first one?
first package was Ross at Bacchus, I believe.
Oh, okay, yep.
Or it might even been so. Abbey Calabi this year was a brut IPA, which everyone missed.
No, I didn't miss it. I just couldn't find it.
Okay,
Oh, right.
maybe that's why everyone
Yeah.
missed it.
It was on tap, and I don't know where it was on tap.
Yeah, right.
My boss found it.
Okay,
But certainly when we put the idea to Scotty at Wolf of the Willows, he was real keen to push it as a wider release than just something for our Patreon. Because for anyone that doesn't know, we for anyone that subscribes to our Patreon page, we try and put together a unique beer just for the people that subscribe.
Okay.
And then, so we've thought that Scotty might do a pilot batch of something to chuck in some 750 bottles or something like that. But then he said, this is fun. And I'm sort of excited by it. Let's just put it in cans and put it wider out there. So I think that's why ours sort of looks like it was one of the first
Yeah.
that people
And
put eyes on anyway. Yeah.
we the can looked great.
Yeah.
Scott's new cans, the colour was awesome. The
Yep.
little graphic was cool. So it looked good on social media, and so we shared the shit out of it. So I think that kind of everyone was just like, "Man, your beer's everywhere."
Yeah.
For that reason.
Well, that's what every time the briefing started talking about it, it was your one. I'll turn that off.
We've lost your sound altogether.
Is it back? No.
I'm going to take this chance to get a beer.
Go do it.
Anyone else want a beer?
How about now?
No, good.
Is that better?
That's better.
Oh,
Yeah, you
sweet.
just pulled the cord out. That's all.
Ah, there you go. The fun
We're
of
back.
live.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
How does he reference ours? I'd be keen to hear.
constantly,
But in
just
a
listen
positive
to
way?
any of the last 20 episodes.
In a
and
good
they'll-
way, though? Does he like it?
It's hard to say.
Okay.
He's spoken to Scotty about it, but he
I do. Well,
yeah.
yeah, I have. I've spoken to Scotty about his conversation with it, and I had maybe a dozen great zinging comebacks that he could have used at the time. Yeah.
Well, he keeps quoting the interview that he did with Scotty, but not actually playing the interview with Scotty. And I just want to listen to the interview. Like, I want to hear what Scotty's got to say. So his main sort of bugbear with it is that it is using an enzyme which the big guys use. And isn't it really just a low carb beer?
Which is such a ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous premise, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Like, I remember him.
Just make whatever.
Scotty was
make
like,
whatever
I remember him
beer.
telling us that he was being pressed, like
Try that one.
saying, "How do you differ from a big player now?"
Yeah.
And I
Oh.
like,
Dave, pass me your glass.
oh no,
Scupper your water.
that was not high on my list of things to do, but here we are. Oh dear.
It just
Should
makes.
hide these labels away from the camera.
Yeah. No, that's. No, I'm just going to say you don't know how to pour a beer.
Never claimed to be an expert.
Yeah, so I just thought that using that one touch point as a reference to large breweries is a weird way of going about it.
I've spoken to Matt about this.
Oh, why haven't you piped in earlier?
Well, so
Sound like an
we've had
idiot.
some back and forth about it, and I think knowing Matt, he loves back and forth as
Yeah.
much as I do. But his take was that's a positive thing. The fact that craft brewers are just breaking down that barrier between, industrial process and craft process isn't a bad thing because the end result's actually a pretty good beer.
Yeah.
And he's saying a lot of people are making that criticism, and he's kind of saying it's okay. I certainly haven't seen anyone else make that criticism other than him.
No, exactly.
I certainly take it as a criticism on the style.
Yeah, I do too.
And it is a strange angle that I don't really understand.
I think,
but
I think if you release that and you said it's a low carb beer, no one would buy it. It's the same as if you release a gluten reduced beer and you go it's gluten free, gluten reduced, people won't buy it. Like Exit released a gluten reduced IPA, which was unbelievable. Such an incredible beer. But because they put gluten reduced on the label, it did not sell as much as if they just said it's an IPA. And the way they did is that it was they used a thing at the end to like a fining process that essentially takes out the haze, but it also pulls out all the glutens as well. And in America, there is a ton of breweries that use this as a clarifying agent, but it just removes the gluten as well. But they don't go, oh, this is a gluten-free or gluten-reduced beer. They just say it's a beer. And I think it's the same sort of thing. If you put it out, like putting it as a brewed IPA, it's a low-carb IPA, but it sounds cooler, and it's a different flavour.
Well, I don't think anyone made it. No one's made it to be a low carb.
No, they don't. Exactly. And that's the thing. So in America and these things, they don't make these beers as a gluten-reduced beer.
Yeah,
It just is one of
it's
those
about
side effects.
The like the super dryness of it.
That's right. And that's the thing. It wasn't like he used... Like, I think a major commercial brewer uses that to make a low-carb beer.
Yeah.
Whereas you guys were making it as an
Interesting flavour.
interesting flavour of brewed IPAs to make that... Pull everything out and make the hops really sort of come to the fore.
Yeah,
to the forefront.
and in Scotty's version of it, like it's pretty much just all the flavour from hops, essentially.
Yeah.
It's a really fun style. It's cool seeing other ones pop up now.
Yep. I had the champagne one the other day.
From Mr. Banks.
Mr. Banks,
Yep.
yeah.
That's really
was really
nice.
good.
That's sold a lot for him. I know that's just really popular.
It's a cool can too. Looks kind of nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is cool. And a friend of mine had one of ours last night, and he messaged me saying, "Oh, I really love this beer." He's not a big beer drinker, and he just hates IPAs. He's like, I had an IPA once. It's awful. I never want to drink that.
Oh,
again.
really?
Yeah, like I mean, he doesn't.
Depends what it is, though.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I've said to him. But he's, he'll drink.
Mm.
I think Two Birds Golden Ale. He really likes, and that's kind of as extreme he gets in terms of flavour. And I gave him a can of this one. He's like, oh, I love that. It was so tasty. I could drink heaps of it, and I didn't think I liked IPAs. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
a different approach, but if you want to seek
Yeah,
out
yeah.
similar things, here's what you can do.
And like a West Coast
Yeah,
sort of IPA where you got the flavour hops more at the front and less malt.
yeah. So yeah, I think that style will find a place, and I think it'll take off. I don't want to predict trends and say it'll be on every tap in 5 years,
Yeah.
but I think there's going to be a place for it.
We chatted to Chris at Mr. Banks about it, and he made a pretty compelling prediction as far as I'm concerned anyway. He said that he might try it again as a pale.
Okay.
So the same kind of thing. Because, I mean, I think ours was 6.2%.
Yeah, didn't taste it.
In that it didn't, and that is dangerous.
It is very.
So it's that dry and that
Yeah.
that drinkable that if you're starting to put 6.5%, 7%
Mm.
beers out there, that can be dangerous, especially like in summer. Whereas if you have a 4.5% to 5% pale,
Yep.
it's less of a
Yeah,
issue,
yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get to a bit of beer news of things that's going on. So Beer Insider is coming up, which is in 5 weeks, I think, in Queensland.
Don't look at us for
No.
these
So,
confirmations.
Beer Insider, it's one of those, we'll be there. Killer Sprock will be there. It's a very interesting beer festival. Like, it's like no other beer festival in the fact that it's kind of a music festival that has beer. And I'm like, don't quote me, but my sort of understanding is Queensland's got very strange licensing laws.
Oh, sorry.
And strange people, yeah. They got these strange licensing laws,
And
right?
there goes all the Queensland viewers.
So,
They
if there-
know they're
yeah, they know.
strange.
if there's any Queenslanders listening or watching on the live stream, please just, you can chime in and let me know that I'm wrong
Yeah.
on the comments.
It's like
But-
how I alienated all of our teenage
yeah, I
viewers
know.
last
Last
night.
useless. But
Wait, did you try to hit a dab and you missed it? Or?
but so if you have a beer festival in Queensland, you can only sell mid-strength beer, right? If you have a music festival, you can sell whatever hell you want to, put in.
But the
So-
musical has to be at 5.
Yeah. So what they've done,
It's
so
mid-strength music.
Beer Insider bills itself more as a music festival, and they've got some really great bands, and all these breweries and stuff. So you can sell whatever beers you want because it's that thing, right?
Is there no it's called Beer Insider, and
Yeah.
and it's a music festival, and
It
no
is.
one's asking any questions?
Well, it's not
If you go to it, there is almost no doubt that it's a music festival, right?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Because the beer festival, Beer Insider goes to 10 o'clock at night. Last band finishes around about 8:30. It is like the end of Big Day Out at 8:30. It is people cramming the doors trying to get out.
Yeah, right.
So you've got 50 brewers at the end of the night going, so we've got about an hour, got an hour left, just walking around, grabbing each. It goes, last year went from, I think it was like 10,000 people or something to maybe 1,000. It was it was insane how quickly people cleared out of that place.
Jeez.
It's a sight to behold. So
Is he doing one here in Melbourne soon?
he might be. I don't know.
Okay, has that not been announced yet?
I don't know.
Oh, I know about it. And
You don't-
the way
you-
you the way
I
you
do, I know
reacted.
about it,
Okay,
yeah.
so it is happening.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I broke an embargo. No one's told me. Anything.
no one's told me that it's an
Okay.
embargo,
All right.
but it's
I guess we're fine then.
I guess, well, whatever.
No one said it was.
Sign anything?
No one said it was
Yeah.
illegal. So
I'll cut it out of the podcast later. But he's bringing it. I don't know if he's announced. I don't think it's been announced formally or when it's going to be or anything like that. But I guess my point is, it's going to really put. I think it's going to put the cat among the pigeons in beer festivals, because if he does what he does, like Queensland's got the rarefied air where there's just not that many beer festivals. So, but when they do it, they bloody rock the tits off it of doing things like Beer Insider is an amazing beer festival. The way that they've got the amount of people that turn up, like it's awesome. The breweries they have there, the bands, all that sort of stuff. He really, goes to town on that sort of stuff. Their Good Beer Week, so their Brews Vegas, is one of the best beer festivals, like week-long beer festivals that I've gone. I know, like Good Beer Week has got this, has got the clout of being the first one and the biggest and international and all this sort of stuff. But like Brews Vegas just captures the fun element. Like I know you've been involved in Good Beer Week for a while, but it's like Nat from Kaiju and I were talking about it, and Good Beer Week, you need to be prepared. You need to put your thing in. It gets approved. It gets put in the guide, and you know what I mean. And it's serious. You've got to. You can't be. You can't sort of be making beer seem low grade or anything like that. It's like beer is so serious, and we're so serious about beer, and this has to be a serious event, right?
As the official program manager for Good Beer Week as of last Tuesday.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's that seriousness. Like, it just seems very much like you do not fuck around with beer.
Well, I think a big part of it is they want that festival to... we now toe the company line. We want that festival to be serious, and I guess to be taken seriously, and not to do. The risk is if we just give everyone free reign. It's so big now that we're going to end up with.
That's right.
50 events of beer pong, 50 beer and burger events.
There is actually the no beer pong rule.
Yeah.
Is that still going?
Yeah. And it's like we're going to have everyone on the first Saturday night is going to do a degustation dinner.
Yeah.
And they're going to have, they're going to finish with a chocolate fondant and an imperial stout. So that seriousness.
No. I agree.
Yeah,
and it's an international festival. And it has to be. It has to be.
No, I'm defensive now.
It has to be taken seriously. Whereas Brews Vegas started because the guy that had the official Good Beer Week in Queensland didn't want to do it anymore, and it wasn't doing. So it was a bunch of bar owners that kind of got together and were like, "Well, let's just have our own thing, and we'll just invite our mates and tell the people." So as opposed to the Good Beer Week, Nat on the plane to Brews Vegas last year was like, I think we should have a burping competition. Landed, called up the bar and was like, can we have a burping competition? And they were like, shit, yeah, that sounds awesome. Quickly jumped on the website and created the event of the Kaiju the beer burp competition.
Nat, if you're listening, that's not going to get up.
That's exactly what I mean. Yeah. So there's so many events where you just like, it's just so haphazard and just fun, and it's just this thing of like, and it's got the benefits and disadvantages, like like with sort of there's been a few events at Brews Vegas where you turn up and you're like, no one really thought this out or organised anything.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few events that happen in a place that people do not realise there is an event happening.
Yeah.
Which happened to us last year. It's our event. Happened in a bar where people had double booked a hen's night. That was not the best.
Yeah.
That was probably not the best. So there's advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah.
But my point is that Queenslanders do things in a very different kind of way. So I'm very interested to see when Beer Insider comes to Melbourne how they do it. Do you know where it's going to be? Have you?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, so it's going to be the first beer festival at. Hopefully Marty doesn't get mad at me for saying it, but I believe it's it's going to be at the Showgrounds.
Oh yeah, nice.
Oh wow.
So it's like he's going in at the top.
Yeah.
To like really sort of and people that aren't from Melbourne, the Showgrounds is like synonymous with that's music festivals.
Yeah.
So Beer Insider really has that pitch as that music festival, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that blends because we haven't got that many music festivals anymore. When I was growing up, there was heaps. You know what I mean? We had Big Day Out and Soundwave and Livid and all these, amazing music festivals. Now we've got like Download, I think.
Yep, that happened. I mean, a lot of regional music festivals.
Yeah.
Now.
But I'm telling you, the best one now, Gears Fest. Get involved with that. It's normally about November.
Where is that though?
It was at Showgrounds.
Oh, that was at Showgrounds?
Started off at Coburg Velodrome.
Yeah.
So who plays there? So
right?
Yeah.
Well, it's obviously headlined by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Yep.
But they bring in, I mean, they're like prolific behemoths. So they're always on tour. So they are always getting people from Japan and the US to come across. But it's awesome. It's awesome. They got a main stage under the big top or whatever you want to call it at the showgrounds, whatever that is. And then under
Marquee?
I guess so. It's an odd little structure anyway. But inside they've got all these. They've got a second main stage, and then also like containers of mini stages. So there's probably 5 containers where a band will set up at one end of the container. I'm talking a
shipping container.
Yeah, and then they'll jam 60 people in there and they'll have 5 of them going at once, while there's someone on the second main stage indoors, and then the main stage outside, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really
Is it? Does it follow the kind of the like King Gizzard style? You know, because they have that.
yes and no.
Yeah.
So they're like
Microtonal banana.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So very kind of psyche and just sort of spacey rock, but especially the other smaller in the containers and stuff. It's
just whatever.
anything
or-
goes. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
But good
Yeah.
fun though. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good at Coburg Velodrome, but just up a notch at the showgrounds.
Yeah.
So it's done twice now, is it?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I guess I'm assuming they'll do it again. So at the end of this year, I guess they'll be the third iteration.
So it's
of it.
November.
Yeah, November, December, something
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Anything else happening at the showgrounds in November?
I don't know. No, they are actually going to be clashing with a big festival.
Okay.
I think so. That'll be interesting to see if they actually hold the date that they thought that they were going to hold, and if that other festival also goes ahead.
Is this the Pilsner Festival at Mr. Banks?
Oh,
that,
yeah. that
Time
is-
are organising in
that-
November?
That is a big one. Isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
You heard it here first.
You're doing a Pilsner festival.
We're talking through it.
Talking through
we
it.
can't say too much now because this is as much as we know.
Okay.
But if you are listening, and maybe to you guys, maybe you want to brush up on your hopscotch skills. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. In other beer news, Gage Roads has signed another big sports deal in WA. Do you know about this?
No.
So they are now they'll for the next 5 years will be the only beer at the 20,000 seat NIB Stadium. So that's where A-League rugby team plays, Western Force, and like concerts like Paul McCartney, Ed Sheeran, all that sort of stuff. So
That is awesome.
yeah, so they've got that, and they've also got the Optus Stadium, which is a 60,000.
So they've got a
stadium.
bar there and taps, is that right?
Yeah.
The Optus
They do
I
all
don't
the beer
know-
for Optus Stadium.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
So they do all
Phenomenal.
of Optus, and now they're going to do NIB. So the two sort of big venues is in WA.
That's
Craft.
crazy exposure.
And-
yeah.
It's like that's insane, especially when you think like a year or two ago they were like co-owned by Woolworths, and you're like, Gage Road, they've got some good beers, but they've bought it back. Then they bought Matzo's and stuff. They're just sort of
I reckon I haven't had one of their beers in ages. There was Little Dove. Was that
Little Dove. Yeah,
was
that's
that
really
pretty
nice.
good? Yeah, I
it's
haven't
really
had
nice.
that. But
See,
I remember
I'm
when
a huge fan of Sleeping Giant.
I
Okay.
was when I first started drinking
Yeah,
beer, but I haven't had it in years. I wouldn't even know what to expect. I don't think. Yeah.
it's kind of like drinking Beast. It's that thing of like it's not as huge as you remember it because when
Right.
you were first starting to get into beer, and IPA was just like
Yeah, Beast was
no
out of
one
control,
can possibly do bigger than this. You know, I just remember drinking IPAs. The first time I drank IPAs, I was like, this is the edge. This is so the edge
Was
of
it
beer.
was it Beast for you?
Yeah, it was Beast for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was for me too.
It was like this is the edge. No one could possibly do anything.
And
like
I've got
this.
I've got a pretty specific idea about what I like my IPAs to be.
Yeah.
now, and Beast doesn't quite fit in there. And when I was at
What's it?
Mansfield,
Yeah.
I had it, and a mate of mine who would drank Beast back in the day, he said, tastes exactly the same. Amazing. And I was like, oh, cool, give us a taste. And I tried it. I was like, definitely exactly the same,
Yeah.
but not quite to my...
It's amazing how it's morphed. So when Beast came out, there were two IPAs. There was Beast and there was Mountain Goats IPA. And they both were in the AIBA Awards. And
I
they
don't
both
think I
got
even
silver.
remember
They got
IBA. Like
well,
the
they
Mountain
brought it
Goat
out for a
one.
bit and then they got rid of it.
Yeah, right.
That was their organic one. So they,
Was it?
Oh
yeah.
actually.
So they launched that and they decided to do it all organically.
Ah.
And that was a huge problem back then because getting all organic hops and malt was
Yeah.
a pain in the arse. And then it wasn't. It was just sitting around, and so that's why they pulled it. And then that's when they came out with steam ale as a replacement for
yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh, okay.
And steam ale was just huge
Yeah.
for them.
Well, that year, both those IPAs got a silver because Dave was one of the judges and was like, "Well, I know which one's my beer and I know which one's Jeff's beer, so I can't possibly judge."
That doesn't happen anymore,
beers.
fortunately.
No.
In the ABAs.
Well, could you imagine if there were 2 IPAs?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But the interesting about Gage Roads, they're going through in the Optus Stadium deal. Do you want to have a guess how much beer in financial year of 2017 they actually went through in that deal?
I don't think I could
couldn't
even come
even
close.
hazard a guess, no.
Yeah.
800,000 litres of beer
Good Lord.
went through the Optus Stadium,
Jeebus.
and it was it was cost neutral.
Yeah, right.
It's they look at it as brand in hand marketing.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely.
So it's just that
There's
thing of
that
being able
many
to,
people knowing
Can
what that is
you-
now. Yeah.
that's insane.
Good on them. It's
If you could figure out a cost neutral way of having your brand exposed to Christ knows how many people.
Exactly.
and having essentially forcing people to drink it.
Yeah.
People
Well,
want to
this is
drink.
the thing,
Like
though.
you know what people want to drink. Like
Drink it.
yeah.
So
I'm at the footy. I want a beer. Oh well.
Yeah.
Whatever.
so
this
my
is.
question is
Yeah.
though, right? Is the Optus Stadium deal is mid strength?
Yep.
Do they have any commercial available mid strength beers?
I think they've got one. I think single fin is that mid strength or sub
know.
4. I think
Okay.
that, but they've brewed. I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure they've brewed mid strength versions of like
Yeah,
their core
But
range.
that's what I mean. So is that good
No, it's
marketing?
just like a Coke dispenser where they mix part of the water together.
I think it's good
pretty
marketing.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah?
sheer
Yeah.
the sheer exposure.
If you
is
have,
that brand name of like, oh, I know Gage Roads.
Yeah.
I had that when I was at the.
I had a
Yeah.
good experience with that.
Yeah.
For sure.
My team won.
Not only that, but just like
I'm going to buy
if you're
a Sleeping
walking around the
Giant
concourse or whatever, and you're seeing the bar, you're just seeing their logos constantly
everywhere that you're
yeah.
going.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, one of the big problems that craft beer has, or small breweries have, is they're competing with huge marketing budgets. So when people
Yeah.
see their beer for the first time, they go, oh, what's that? I don't know that. I'm going to get what I always see.
Yeah.
If you always see that every time you go to the footy,
Yeah.
next time you
Mm.
see it, oh, I know that. I enjoyed that. I'm going to just get
Yeah.
that.
Also, do you think that the benefit of this of having like the Gage Road bars at these 2 major events and stuff is you've got like when you go to the football, there's Carlton Draft. It's not AB InBev bars. It's the Carlton Draft bar
Yeah.
or the 4X bar or the Great Northern bar and all these things. It's that brand thing. Whereas Gage Road's not the Sleeping Giant thing. It's Gage Roads.
Mm.
So as you're putting out other beers, you're known as that brand name. So as you're putting it out, you're getting that brand loyalty of you could put out all different beers and people go, oh yeah, that's the thing. Like they kind of get that with Little Creatures a little bit and White Rabbit
Yeah.
is that thing of like for a while their White Rabbit was their dark ale and it was synonymous. But it's interesting with the beer thing. Like I still get people going, oh, can I buy a Killer Sprocket? I'm like, which? Like I'm talking about bar owners, and I'm like, which Killer Sprocket? The Killer Sprocket beer, and I'm like, the amber ale. Like, so what I mean, you got to go back to what they ordered last time. So I still
Yeah.
get that sometimes. Like people kind of program to have that one brand name to one beer type.
And that's failed the majors a lot when they've tried to do a variation on VB. You know,
Yes,
VB
the
mid strength,
Pale,
or
or
VB
wasn't it? Yeah.
Pale, or Crown Golden Ale.
Yep.
Just doesn't work for them.
Because they feel like they've changed the recipe.
Mm.
They're like, no, this isn't my
Yeah, yeah.
this isn't my Crownies.
And that's their. But I think that's purely their fault in terms of they just market so hard of like, if it's not VB, it's
Yeah.
crap. If it's not
That's
so
right.
and so, like people are like, yeah, I drink that, and anything outside of that. So
Yeah.
once, you give them something that's still VB but slightly different.
Yeah.
Nah. They just hammer it home so much.
Yeah.
Marketing, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Marketing. It's a weird thing. The other thing I wanted to talk about, something very exciting to me. We didn't get to do this last week. Is the Star Trek news?
Yes.
There's been quite a bit of Star Trek. Do you guys like Star Trek? Do you watch Star Trek?
I
Have you
just watched
enjoyed it?
which one is on Netflix? With
Discovery.
Yeah,
Star Trek STD.
I watched that one. Well, now I don't want to talk about it. I watched that and it was pretty good. That's all I've got.
Yeah. So what's happened is Star Trek's kind of splintered into two factions. So you've got TV Star Trek and you've got movie Star Trek. So when they rebooted the movie series, they essentially J.J. Abrams rebooted it and just changed it and went, everything that's come before, anything that's in canon, I don't want to reference. I don't want anyone to have a go at me because I got this bit wrong. I'm starting again. Spock goes back in time, does this. It's all new. So they've called it, I think that's the Kelvin timeline.
Yep.
Yeah. So what they do is he's just rebooted it. And then they've now gone further and said, well, we're going to do just even other different movies. So we're just going to muck around with the timeline and we're going to do whatever the hell we want to do with it. So there's 2 Star Trek movies in development. One's following the Enterprise, Kirk, and all that sort of stuff. The other one is Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek.
Okay.
So Tarantino's making a Star Trek.
Is he directing it?
Yes.
All right. Interesting.
He's a huge Star Trek fan. And all of his favourite Star Trek episodes deal with time travel. So everyone's tipping it's going to be a time travel one.
Ooh.
I enjoyed the time travel episode of Discovery. That was really fun. There was one where they changed the timeline a lot. Where I think one person was travelling back and had a limited time to save everything.
Mud. Yeah.
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah.
So
So they've done that. And then the other side is CBS owns Star Trek, the TV series. So they've gone, well, we're going to go back to the original timeline and that will be our Star Trek. So everything that you've liked about Star Trek is on TV. So CBS launched their streaming app, CBS Online, and realised they're going up against like Netflix and Hulu and all this sort of stuff. They need something. So they thought, what do people download our app for and pay for money? Star Trek. So they put Star Trek Discovery out on it. And all the Trekkies bought it, even though the app is terrible. They bought it and then they did a deal with Netflix, a side deal, to put it everywhere else in the world, right? But it did so well that CBS has decided we're going to come back with 4 Star Treks.
all right.
So they're going to do the original, they're going to do Star Trek Discovery. They're also doing an animated series, which will be...
Star Trek babies.
Yeah, Star Trek babies. No, it'll be... the tip is it's going to be next-gen Star Trek, but continue with the Adventures in cartoons, because everyone's old now. And then...
That's pretty smart, actually.
Picard sounds old now, though. Patrick Stewart sounds old.
does.
The problem is
he does look exactly the same, though. So
Yeah.
he looks very similar.
And
but
that's
he
that's the other Star Trek. The big news that just got released is that Picard is coming back, and it's not going to be a reboot. It's going to be a continuance of his adventure. So, last time we saw him, he was drinking wine and had a vineyard. So, pissed Star Trek. Pissed Picard would be awesome.
don't mind it.
So his one of his is on Netflix, I think.
Next gen.
Okay. Should I watch that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So next gen is pretty much like the quintessential Star Trek favorite. It was the reboot from the original series. Then I think in season 2 or season 3, the guy that created it, Gene Roddenberry, died, and they made it really, really good because he was out of the picture. So they were actually able to to do some amazing stuff. And then that's what kind of launched Star Trek into. Then they had Deep Space Nine and Voyager and Enterprise and all these other ones. And so everyone's favourite captain when they do votes is always Picard. And, it was used to be, in original series was, here's a new alien, how can we fight it? And it was like...
Or make out with it.
Yeah, or make out with it. Do we fight it or fuck it?
Yeah.
That's every single thing. Whereas...
It's a pretty good premise, actually.
Yeah, story of my life.
Yeah, everything...
Am I right?
Everything... And that was the 70s. That was great, Whereas Next Gen was like... Here's a new alien. How do we make friends with it? Oh, it wants to destroy us. It must not understand us. Let's try to talk nicer to it and not destroy anything and just be diplomatic and show that the world is going to be, a better place.
Pretty lame.
Yeah.
So that was the first few seasons. Then they started getting some real interesting stuff in and giving people a little bit more sort of leeway of creating their characters. And they did some amazing, amazing shows. So... I would definitely think that you should jump on there. Is that supposed to be saying that?
That's a different internet than
Oh,
what we have
okay,
going
cool.
at the moment,
Oh,
so it doesn't
right,
make
okay.
any difference.
So that's
All
that's the J.J. Abrams internet.
That's the J.J.
He's got the
Abrams.
CBS internet over there.
Yeah.
Alright.
So they're going to do the cartoon, the continuing adventures of Picard. They're also doing a Star Trek 90210, where it is Star Trek school. So it's all
Okay.
teens
Yeah.
learning to be Star Trek people.
I don't want to be a captain. God.
That's right, exactly. So that'll be that thing, and then the fourth one is Khan. They're bringing back one of the big villains in Star Trek.
He's one of those Klingons.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, no, but
Oh, isn't he? Is he half Klingon, half man?
no, he was a super soldier created by
The Klingons.
no.
Okay.
Ian
Stop
Still.
saying Klingon.
I'm out then. I'm
Okay.
out.
There is a relation to the Klingons, though.
Okay.
Because the guy that created the genetic thing of Khan also in Enterprise was tipped as the person that changed the look of the Klingons because everyone complained, how come Klingons look different?
Mm.
And they went, this guy mucked with their biology and DNA and that's why they look so different.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the four things. But the interesting thing is CBS has bought Channel 10.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So,
Are you
Their
hoping
next-
for Outback Adventures
no,
with
I'm...
Star
what's-
Trek?
No, but what they're going to do
That's cool.
is they're actually going to... They've announced they're launching their CBS shitty streaming app in Australia,
Okay.
which means that all these amazing Star Trek shows were going to be on Netflix, but will now be on the standalone Channel 10 CBS app. So to watch them, you're going to actually have to buy a separate app and pay a subscription for Channel 10 shows.
I was hoping that Picard was going to go to Ramsey Street, but that's
That'd be awesome.
So I should watch then everything that's available now on Netflix.
On Netflix, yeah,
Okay.
you should before they, before it goes behind a paywall.
Yeah. A different
paywalls. Who
A
likes
different
paywalls?
paywalls, yeah,
right?
exactly.
You should subscribe to our Patreon though.
Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah.
There's extra content behind the
Yeah,
paywall.
Exactly.
All right, I think we've got maybe time for a little bit of music news.
Hey, so
Before we
can
get
I
out
just
of
interrupt
here.
your music?
Yeah.
News?
Mm.
You didn't ask me what I did this week.
I did.
No, you didn't. You asked Dave. And
I
then
said
you
both
skipped
you.
to me over
All
on
right.
the beer news. And
what
I've
did you
got big
do?
news.
Oh, what did you do?
Let's go.
I released a book this week about beer.
Oh, that is hands down the
That was
biggest
gonna
news
be-
so far.
I
like,
had
oh,
that on my
man,
list. That was going to be the.
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll do it now.
Oh, is it on your list still?
It was on my list.
Oh, okay. Then
Okay,
I'll
cool.
step
No,
back.
let's do it.
Okay.
My news is I released a book this week.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm in it.
About beer. You're in it. I can't remember what page. You'll be in the...
66.
Really?
No, I don't know.
Oh, I should have put you on 66.
You just said to can't remember what page, as if like anyone would remember that. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
Okay.
it would have been something I could have looked up and
Yeah,
said
okay.
you're on page.
Yeah,
219.
it was good.
You're
I
in
did
the
look at some.
by the fireplace section, I think.
For which beer?
Barbecue, I think.
Oh, barbecue. Yeah, that's right. I put a few darker beers in the barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the amber?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And a
So
reference to Bandit.
yeah. So beers by occasion. So
And spelt my name and Andrea's name correctly.
Nice.
all right. Do people not do that?
Last book that we were in.
Your name's
Crafties-
Sean Ryan.
Yeah, last. Oh no. They spelled my name right. They got Andrea wrong.
Is it an odd spelling?
No,
Okay.
I don't think he actually. I think he called her something completely different
All right. So
in the book.
Okay.
this book is already 100% more accurate than the previous one.
Then the crafty pie one.
So
Yeah.
wait, does it have pilsners in it? Because we've got a couple of guys that are arguing about the pilsners.
Hi,
so
Matt.
Marcus is saying pilsner's blah, and then Adam says it's delicious. Take that back.
Pilsners are probably our favourite style, I think, Dave.
Yep.
Marcus, are you wrong about everything else in life as well, or is it just Pilsners?
Yeah, there are Pilsners in it. Pilsner is a great style.
Awesome.
So
Yep.
yes. But there are other things. If you don't like Pilsners, please still buy it.
So what like for people that don't understand what the difference with it is, like what about a pilsner stands apart?
Well,
from,
what makes a good pilsner?
Yeah, what makes a good pilsner?
That's a good question.
Smoke. No.
A good Pilsner, I think Pilsner's designed, and traditionally they were a lot more hoppy, so a few more aroma hops than pale lagers like Heineken, etc.
Yep.
Are essentially Pilsners.
Okay.
But a good Pilsner should have a lot aroma hops, sort of spicy, grassy, really fun, and still quite bitter. but just really clean and drinkable. So it's kind of got all those things that I like about IPAs, all those things I like about lagers. Easy drinking, but also really, really fragrant. So a lot of the New World ones, I think Three Ravens use all Australian hops, and so it's really has a unique Australian hop character, but it's still classic, easy drinking.
Right.
So there's the kind of beer, 6-pack in the fridge. It's always there. A lot of people are starting to do more sort of unfiltered or cloudy ones, like you would say in Germany or I think Czechoslovakia now.
Okay.
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic now? God damn it.
Yeah, I think it is Czech Republic.
I took a guess. I was 50-50.
50-50, and you got it wrong. Yeah.
So, it does have a lot of character if it's done right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the problem is people have done them wrong for so many years that we just think it's a bland, watery lager.
Right, okay.
And I think that's a shame.
Yep. Okay.
I also think a big appeal, for me at least, for anyone that is on the adventure of exploring craft beer, is that you inevitably go big, bold flavors to sort of experience the boundaries of what beer does.
Yeah.
And then after a while, the appeal of just an extremely well-made beer becomes more engaging with you, and that's one of those styles where if it's not made well, so a good well-made pilsner is just one of life's good little moments.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So your book
Yes.
Oh yeah, sorry, pilsner. I was gonna throw it away, yeah.
is not the Pilsner book.
No, I wish.
Well, there you go, but that's your next one.
Yeah. Keg Bottle Can, it's called, by Luke Robertson. Buy it in all good bookshops. It's
actually, if you go in,
there's two awful bookshops that also have it as well.
Yeah.
I found if you go in and just say can bottle
Keg,
they could find it.
Yeah. I've been going around finding it in bookshops. I was in the city the other day.
It.
No, someone said that. Like, my publisher said, "Oh, have you gone in and seen it?" I'm like, yeah, and they said, "Oh, did you sign any?" I'm not gonna go vandalise their books. Like, I'm not.
It's okay. I'm Luke. It's fine.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty scruffy at the best of times. I've been accused of shoplifting a few times in my life. I'm not gonna now go in and start defacing books. But I was in a display window, a Father's Day display the other day.
Just standing in there.
Yeah, just me.
As people walk past, pointing to it.
The book was there. So there was me. There's also the fart dictionary.
Nice.
So I had a little song, and it looks like I've made it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
And then I went away and was like, "What the hell's the fart dictionary?" And so I looked it up.
Buy it now.
Yeah, I went and looked it up, and it's got poems and songs and Jane Austen retellings about farts. I'm like, this is way more highbrow than mine.
Yeah.
Mine's really lowbrow.
Yeah.
I don't mention Jane Austen once.
Next book.
That's a
after
Father's
Pilsner
Day.
book.
That's a Father's Day home run, though.
Yeah.
The old fart dictionary.
Yeah.
It is not.
After
Keg Bottle Can is.
after the Pilsner book, you do beer and farts.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's got legs.
Yeah, I really
actually.
think I'm new to transition into the fart market.
But it's it's a good book. I had a flick through
Cool.
at the local bookshop.
Cool. You didn't.
I didn't buy it. No.
Okay, no, it's just
I was
interesting.
going to, and I thought it'd be a funnier story if I just said I read it and put it back. It wasn't signed. I was like, what's the
Cool.
point?
Emma, if you're listening, we won't eat this week because I didn't sell enough books.
Because of Sean.
Yeah.
Because of me, yeah.
That one sale.
I'm sure that the entire money of that book goes back to you.
No.
But there was a launch on Wednesday night that was really good.
Yeah.
I think you sold all the copies you had there.
Yeah, we had 30 or so copies for sale. Everyone got a free cookie if you bought a copy.
Good cookies.
You know the reason I didn't buy it? I was going to buy it.
Oh, God, here we go.
I'm a dad, right? And I'm in beer.
Enough said.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to get at least a copy of it from someone,
Yeah.
maybe
Oh,
2 or
okay.
3 copies,
You're going to get...
which has happened the last few times. I bought a beer book. I'm like, oh, awesome, a beer book. And then it's like, people have gone, oh, what do we get Sean? Oh, he likes beer, doesn't he? Just get him a beer book.
There's another beer book come out this week. I'm not going to mention it, but you're going to get 3 copies of that and not mine.
Is there another one? If I do get it, I'll return one of them to get your one.
Yeah, thank you.
Keep the receipt.
Yeah, keep the receipt. In music news, some interesting stuff has gone on in music this week. So, AC/DC are recording a new album
Huh. What do you know?
in Vancouver. Bring you into it.
bringing
Yeah.
me into it.
He lived in Vancouver.
Yeah. I'm
ACDC?
ACD.
A?
Nice.
I like that.
But the news is that it's got Phil Rudd is back behind the drum kit after his it wasn't attempted murder, it was procuring a murder charge.
Okay, what is that?
So he hired someone to kill a drug dealer that he owed a lot of money to. So Phil Rudd allegedly
Surely that the two prices have to be close, yeah? Or he must have owed a lot of money then.
If you're an ACDC, you're doing a lot of
Okay.
drugs.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And you probably know
allegedly-
people willing to kill for less. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Okay.
yeah.
This is how he racked up the money. Allegedly, Phil Rudd decided to have a party, so he rented a boat full of drugs and hookers, and went out. And
So
had a party.
was it like a pre-package of the boat and hookers, or did he have to rent
hookers,
them
drugs,
separately?
boat, the whole package.
Like the whole deal?
Yeah, it was a whole package deal, right?
How do you... Yeah.
I don't know. I've never had the funds available to
I've just never...
do that package deal.
I'll send you a
If you
link.
try and do it
Yeah.
separately, if you try and do it separately, it's a nightmare. I wouldn't even
Well,
worry
just
about
try to
it.
get it's a lot of
Package
moving
deal,
parts. So they so he goes out, has his party, comes back. The boat hire drug dealing pimp, I guess you can call him, says that'll be lots of money, please. And Phil Rudd goes, "No, I'm Phil Rudd. See you later," and like fucking runs off.
That is a direct quote. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
And he
Allegedly.
ran,
So he just says, "No, I'm not going to pay you." So this drug dealing boat hire pimp is getting more and more angry at him. So rather than pay his bill, he hires a hitman to try to kill the boat hire drug dealer pimp, and it doesn't go well. He gets caught and put into jail. So now he missed the last tour and the last album, and said when he got out of jail, he said, "I think," and this is actually a quote. I think he said, oh, "Did I write it down?" He said something like, "I'm going to join AC/DC again. I don't care what anyone thinks."
Fair point.
Fair point. So he, so anyway, he's rejoined. Also, Axl Rose is
he has
singing.
been
Yeah,
touring with
yeah.
them, hasn't
He's
he?
been touring, so
Yeah.
he's apparently on the album. But also, Brian's back. Brian Johnson's back.
Right.
Okay,
What's
how's that gonna
Axl
work?
doing there? Yeah.
So I don't quite understand if Axel's singing some and Brian's singing some.
That's
or
weird.
if Brian's
Yeah,
singing
that's
on the
weird.
album and then Axel's touring, because the whole thing
Yeah.
was that Brian couldn't tour anymore
Yeah,
because of the
yeah,
hearing loss.
Yeah.
But no one said he couldn't.
Surely you need to hear to sing too, though, yeah? You need to be able to hear yourself when you sing.
And others, yeah.
yeah,
right.
so...
No, he can hear.
Oh, actually, well, yeah. Yeah.
But they were saying that if he's performing, and they said, what was it? He could perform outdoor but not indoor concert. There was like a whole thing about his hearing loss. It was more the fact of if he kept going, he would lose more hearing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Not
yeah.
that he can't hear
Yeah,
anymore.
right.
You've only got one more concert.
That's right, exactly.
Gonna do it.
Exactly. So apparently he can be in the studio. So yeah, that's the other thing is maybe he's going to record the studio album and then Axel will be touring.
Surely for marketing of it, you have Axl sing a track at least, though.
Well, yeah, you'd think
Yeah,
so.
Got to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Phil Rudd,
Yes.
going back to the drug dealer thing, so he owed this guy a lot of money. So
Yes. So yeah, what happened with that? I didn't think about that.
because like I don't know, he would have been in the red.
Yeah.
But now
Ah,
is
and
he
now
back in the
quotation-
black?
Yeah.
The drug dealer's like, oh, you went to jail, so we're cool now.
How long were
I
you
like
thinking
it.
of a sweet AC/DC joke?
Yeah. How long did that take
Since
you?
he said Phil Rudd, and I thought money in the red, and then
Okay.
back
Back
in black.
in
That's pretty
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah,
all right.
thank
Yeah.
you. Yep.
Yep. I think maybe
Did it shake him all night long? No, yeah.
I think once, like, if you've gone to the trouble of hiring a hitman, I think maybe they would just went, maybe we don't chase this debt up.
Maybe the hitman. I'm gonna have to say this one. I'm sorry. Maybe the hitman didn't take any money for it. He was just hired to shoot to thrill.
Jesus. It's good. Yeah, that's good.
All right, I'm out. I'll see you
Yeah.
guys later.
I feel like as good as
Mic
any of them
drop.
are, I feel like there's going to be diminishing returns.
In other album news of Who Gives a Shit is Korn is doing another
I
album.
heard that
Cool.
too, actually.
You heard about that? Apparently they don't actually write their own music, and Jonathan does, because I do write my own music, and I tend to believe him because no one's writing that kind of shit.
I quite like Korn. The first two albums were pretty good.
Oh, yeah, Korn back in the day was
Yeah.
great.
So, Follow the Leader
Yeah.
is just about to celebrate its 20th anniversary.
No, that's,
Oh, God.
How old does that make you feel?
They did that crop circles DVD where they got someone to make some crop circles and then filmed a concert in them.
Really?
I know this because of our conspiracy podcast.
Okay.
It came up in there, but yep, they did that.
So what's the conspiracy podcast?
Yeah.
What is it called?
Oh, called Hypothetical Institute.
Okay, cool.
And so the concert they did was in, I think, 2010.
Yeah.
And it was Korn doing crop circles for a live MySpace gig. And it's like, we're like, wait, 2010? And they're like, yeah, that was in 2010, not 1998. 1998, that would have been amazing.
Was that when Justin Timberlake bought MySpace?
Yeah, I think it was about that time they tried to rebrand it.
Wow.
Didn't work.
No,
Did not work.
I-
Don't get Korn to play in crop circles.
Yeah, I still
rebrand.
remember when Jonathan Davis came out and said that he'd invented dubstep.
Right.
Do you remember that?
No.
Okay.
He claimed that he invented dubstep, and then
Was
they
there
did a
much
dubstep
bass?
album.
Did they?
They did it, yeah, with Skrillex, I think.
Okay.
I would hope so. 'cause
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Skrillex isn't
The artist.
dubstep. Just god, it's dubstep. No, I'm just not going to get into it.
Okay.
Skrillex is
Well-
bro step, not dubstep.
It's Skrillex is more it's just like industrial electro step. Dubstep is supposed to be dub, like as in leaning towards reggae.
Dub reggae, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
So
Right.
when dubstep happened, when it kind of got big in
Yeah.
England, it was all the dub reggae side.
Yeah, it
Right.
sounded
Then-
like
People like Skrillex came along and just went,
And
oh,
those
cool.
that don't know,
And then they
you're from the
started
home
making-
of reggae, New Zealand.
Yeah.
well, Skrillex got a hold of it and he put a bunch of sounds that go like
That's not dubstep?
That's not dubstep.
What's that
no.
then?
That's electro
This is
industrial step.
educational because that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I would have thought.
They-
dubstep
so
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
So
So
dubstep is dub, like
I don't
dub
know what that
reggae,
means.
like
Oh.
I don't
So
know what
slowed down reggae.
Okay.
Low, heavy bass, but really slowed down.
yeah.
chilled
It's
out.
not reggae, but
Well,
it's
John
got
Davis
very,
invented that
very,
version of dubstep.
Like,
Wee
oh,
noises.
yes.
Oh, right.
That he made him with his mouth. Yeah, exactly. That was his thing. And then I remember when he was saying that, and then they interviewed Monkey about it, and he was like, "I don't know what John's talking about. Like, we just play our own thing." But yeah, so they're releasing a new album.
Cool.
I don't think anyone's going to care.
No.
They haven't done anything useful since. I think Follow the Leader was awesome, but then if you listen to it now, you're like, oh, I was an angry teenager, wasn't I?
It's yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, to me, Korn when they came out was just, they were dark and weird and stuff. And then they released that video, was it called Who Then Now or something?
Oh yeah.
Where
and
they
it was
just
all jerking around
Yeah,
and stuff.
and it was just like, these guys are like jackass. Like, they're not...
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a weird angle to go for.
Yeah. They were just completely demystified.
Well, they blew it. Yeah.
themselves. Yeah. And it's like, well, once you lose that mystique, like I remember hearing someone describe them as the ramblings of a mental patient, which probably is still correct now, but but it just like he just seems so tortured and troubled, like, you know.
And then you actually got a glimpse into what he is actually like, and you're like, no.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh, you're just a
Can't believe
jerk.
this guy doesn't have serious mental health issues. I am out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. You kind of want your metal artists to be. I was reading an article recently. There was like about metal, like metal's becoming too nice. Like it's that sort
Ooh,
of positivity, and because metal was supposed to be dark and all this sort of stuff, and now it's like no, we're positive and we're making people happy about themselves and we're joking around and blah blah blah.
Okay,
And
so
then there's like an Australian metal artist called Rebel Wizard, who's just like, no, metal is dark and depressing, and here is the worst things in the world, and it's just changing metal for like that. And also the other one is Power Trip, is kind of reclaiming the whole thrash metal genre by just like playing dirty pub gigs and just being dangerous again.
so Marcus is wrong again when he says Matt is wrong about modern dubstep. So
Okay, Marcus.
Jeez,
Two for two, huh?
Yeah.
2, yeah. Let's go
Yeah.
for the hat trick, Marcus.
The middle being
We love you,
upbeat-
Marcus.
Yeah, please keep watching. Being upbeat and stuff though, like metal has been. There's been a positivity around metal, like
Yes.
as a community.
Yes.
That's always been there, though, right?
I think so. I think it was more the fact of like, oh, you're depressed and living like,
Yeah, okay.
you're depressed and angry. I'm depressed and angry. Awesome, we should be friends. And that's that kind of metal thing of like, you don't think that anyone else is feeling well. We kind of grew up with metal being one of the biggest genres when we were teenagers. Metal kind of exploded again, and you had, like Metallica going great guns. It was kind of the tail end of that, and then you had Korn and Rammstein and
Slipknot was huge.
Slipknot was huge. You know what I mean? Slipknot. That's another one. Like when Slipknot came out, they were scary.
Yeah.
Like they were really challenging dudes, and then they've kind of demystified, and now there's like, oh jeez, that was a good thunderclap. Like there's still some of them that are a little bit like unstable that I wouldn't want to meet, but the other dudes are like just really ace guys. They're just really nice dudes.
Stop it! Stop being so nice.
I know.
I did see Rob Halford's Instagram this week, from Judas Priest.
Yeah,
and it looked really positive, but also fun. He looks like he's still having a good time.
Well,
being Rob Halford.
Rob Halford is like awesome in
Yeah.
metal. Like he's firstly amazing metal voice.
Yeah.
Was the first Judas Priest was the first metal band that was just like, let's not have any ballads. Let's just, what if everything is just hardcore, metal? And back then it was. Now it's sort of dated as everything's kind of it's like drinking an IPA when it's not beast anymore. You've got, but then he was a gay man. So he used to dress up in leather and studs and all this sort of stuff. And then that became the metal uniform.
Yeah.
So the metal uniform is actually like
it's
gay fetish.
From that fetish wear.
Which
it's
is amazing.
When he officially came out, I remember at the time he said like, wait, you guys didn't know this? Look what I wear on stage.
Yeah.
Like I just figured everyone knew.
Yeah.
And then you look
Like
back,
his song is hell bent for leather.
Yeah.
Like it's not a hell bent for being hardcore and drinking beers.
Yeah.
It's like I'm hardcore for leather. I really like leather. You know what I mean? Like it's him and Freddie Mercury were like shared a wardrobe mistress. You know what I mean? Like they were.
Have you ever seen Heavy Metal Parking Lot?
No.
Oh, it's great. So it's a short documentary. It's kind of a cult thing now. I think it goes for 15 minutes, and basically they set up in a parking lot before a Judas Priest concert in the 80s, and they just start chatting to people that are tailgating and getting pissed and hanging out. So it's a snapshot of who's going to a Judas Priest concert in the 80s.
Wow.
And it's so entertaining.
There's a documentary called The Downfall of Western Civilization Part 2.
Okay.
I think it's Part 2, which goes with metal. And it was literally that was like the crest of when metal started becoming sad.
Yeah.
And it's got some amazing footage of I can't even remember who it is, one of the lead singers of one of the bands getting absolutely drunk on vodka in his swimming pool with his mother sitting by the side. And she would just every now and then look at him being like, what has my son become? Like he's in a mansion, in a pool, drinking himself to death in a documentary with his mother by his side. It is the most amazing piece of footage. And I remember I watched an interview with the person that made it, this woman that made the documentary, and everyone's like, did you realise what you were capturing? She goes, no, it was just so bizarre.
Yeah.
Like everything was just weird. So it's him doing that. Then they interview Ozzy Osbourne in a pink dressing gown cooking breakfast, but he doesn't know how to cook breakfast, so he just thought it would be a good idea to film in his kitchen and him making breakfast, but he has no idea how to make food. So he's kind of going through the motions, but not actually making food. It's just one of the most bizarre docos.
His turn as a bumbling idiot?
Yeah, it was like mid-80s.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, very
okay,
much before that.
Because that was a weird turn where it was like, Ozzy Osbourne's now just a comical old man.
Yeah, I know.
Let's make a TV show out of
and
it.
they used that.
Sure.
They used that sound bed that was like perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much bang on.
Yeah, bang on 2 hours. So thanks very much, Luke and Dave, for joining us.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Yeah,
It's
right.
good.
Thanks for everyone that tuned in and watched us. We'll be back again next week, next Saturday, with some more guests and stuff.
Except
But-
I'll 0 for 2, Marcus. Yeah.
It might actually be Mark, so maybe we'll get him in and he can tell us how wrong we are about everything.
He's not wrong because the modern dubstep thing was, as he says, Excision and Datsik, which are from Canada, who created this modern
Okay.
thing like that they do instead of the old dubby sort of reggae thing.
We just got schooled. Well played,
Okay.
Marcus.
Yeah. Okay, Marcus, you're all right.
50%. All right.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. For Mash, I'm Sean Ryan.
Matty Lick.
Thank you very much.